have in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we're serving up a full dish of this week's episodes of NBC's #1 award-hitting soap opera, Days of Our Lives. I'm your host, Tony Moore, and I'm joined by my Gagala gals. We have always and forever Lumberjack.
Realness.
Is this lumberjack realness?
You're
lumberjack.
You're just always going to be a lumberjack to us.
Lumberjack? Okay. Michael Mattis, how are you?
We're doing great, Michael Mattis. And of course,
Good.
we have somewhere on the screen, Mr.
Hey guys, Justin Hareld.
And of course, returning from the depths of a little sickness, but she's well and joining us today.
Hi everyone, I'm Araceli. I'm alive.
And you know what? That's a
Rough
good
24
feeling. It's a good feeling to be
A
alive.
rough 24 hours.
But you made it through. That's the most important thing.
I made it through. Everybody stay safe.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in live. If you're watching us later, thanks for watching us later. If you haven't already, make sure you like us and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days on Instagram. We are now Dishin Days Show on Facebook and _Dishin Days on the Twitter. The @ is still trying to figure out where they can get vaccinated. So get out of quarantine. Also, make sure you tune into JLJ Media for all of your other soap opera fixings. He has the GH Report, Young and the Restless, and Bold and the Beautiful. So if you are a soap junkie, tune into us. Then head over to JLJ Media. Our lovely James Lott Jr. is all over that. So give him some love as well. And coming up later today, we have Miss Jaime Lyn Bauer joining us. You know her as Laura Horton. I will not say ex-Laura Horton because the character is dead. I will always and forever say Laura Horton. So make sure you tune in later on for that. All right. What did we think of this week's episodes of Days?
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Had a couple of legit, or at least one, like legit surprise where I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, they're bringing that person back into it. Okay. Interesting.
Wait, Michael Mattis, I have to pause for the cause because that deserves 3 snaps for that fade out of the Days music as we went into this part. I was like, okay, Michael Mattis, fading it out and then being like, oh yes, these are my thoughts. I was like,
I'm learning. I'm getting better.
I thought the pacing was really good this week. I felt like things were really moving. I was really impressed this week.
And there were a lot of like storyline character crossovers, like multiple like, oh, she's talking to him now, and they're talking to them, and everyone was everywhere.
Yeah.
And everything felt cohesive. Also, I didn't feel jarred like I'm moving like to days and like, oh wait, did I miss something? Did I miss a day? What was going on? Everything felt very cohesive this week. I was really happy about that.
This week.
Yeah, there definitely was a great flow to it, and definitely some surprises. Like I was like, oh. Those were my faces this week. So let's break it on down. Let's talk to everyone about it. It is now time to start Dishin Days. My nice little setup over here. If you guys looked at our Insta story on Dishin Days, you'll see my little setup that's on my right here. All right, let's kick things off with the Ben, Ciara, Rhodes, Claire, Susan, Evan, Christian, Clyde, Orpheus storyline.
Whole people,
Salem.
Whole gaggle of people over
and then
there.
some,
And then some. Well, this storyline is definitely moving right along.
Yes.
I have to say though, I was a little sad to see Rhodes shot.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I don't want that for Rhodes. I actually like the character of Rhodes. Like he wasn't like, I feel like he was a paid henchman, but a likable paid henchman.
In terms of henchmen, he was perfectly likable. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't he was keeping Ciara hostage, but he actually had like a decent personality.
Yeah.
Apparently
nice
he had a
room.
date. Apparently he got a date. Don't know what happened to the date because, well, the date's probably sitting at Coffee Bean like
the
tech because did you hear about Rhodes?
Did.
We set her up with books and a nice fluffy bed, and
so I was surprised that Ciara wasn't as surprised about the gunshot because watching it, like he was like
surprised by the gunshot.
Something, da 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 da, and then put his hand, and it was like boom, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened?" Like that's how I felt, and Ciara was just like, "Oh." Yeah. And I was like, well, she lives in Salem, so she's used to people getting
shot. Was like a genuine shock, like a surprise, like a real surprise, like a real shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually thought that it was Sean.
Oh, you did?
I thought Sean and Ben, because my thought was, because they showed it at the end of Thursday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the beginning of Friday. So when Thursday went off, I thought to myself, ooh, well, they wrapped up this storyline quick.
Yeah.
And then I clicked on Friday, and then it's like, bam, like he shot. And then Sean and Ben bust into a room, and I'm like, oh, wait, y'all.
That ain't where they are.
I'm like, y'all in the wrong room.
Yeah.
I was like 70-30% they were where Ciara was, and 70% no, they're somewhere they're faking us out. But then Friday we learned
Friday was confirmed that
confirmed.
Yeah.
I assumed it was a fake out just because I felt like we would have got one of those interesting promos of like Ben and Ciara reunited, with their theme.
They're gonna like that, promo the hell out of that one.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's probably not gonna happen now, but yeah. But I thought it was funny how like Ciara, after he was shot and fell to the ground, she sort of stood there for like 60 seconds just yelling, or like it was like, what was she asking, like who's there? And is that I know, it's like,
is that you?
It went on forever, and I was like, oh god, you can't see who's there, like.
And then Evan Christian comes in and is like, remember me.
I was like, did he not behind the door after he shot him? Like, where did he go? She's like standing there.
Right? Like I feel like when he was like, remember me, I was like, how could anyone forget? She pressed your whole body up against the jail thing to be like, he did it, not Ben, he did it, he killed Jordan.
Honestly, Tony, the funny thing is, I honestly forgot about that for some, like I knew who Evan Christian was, but when he showed up and he was like, hi Ciara or whatever, and I was kind of like, well, what's their, like, honestly, I know
I'm definitely glad that they, and Days is good about this now, when they bring someone in, they kind of do a recap, and it's usually monologue style, the character saying, I'm glad I was like, wait, what? And then how did he get out? And then Orpheus and right.
I just didn't remember
the grudge
from her towards her. I was like, wait, why does he have a grudge on? And then
I had to be reminded about how he got away and how he, I forgot about when he knocked Orpheus out and like hightailed it out of there. I was like, oh, that's right. And I remember being on the show here and we were wondering like, oh, what did he do? Is he going away or is he coming back or whatever? And now we know.
Now we know he just went and hid, and then Orpheus gave him the opportunity to come back and get revenge. But there was a part of me that was like, no, I kind of want you to be like reformed and like better. And then, but then I was also kind of sad because I was like, oh man, like another great character that just like they could have done so much with, and now it's just like, womp womp.
I'm with you, Tony.
I was genuinely surprised though. Like I almost felt like Ciara because I felt like I felt like I was watching the show, sometimes you get distracted. So like I was like this. And then it was like, remember me? And I looked up and I was like, what you doing there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have never thought I would have never thought Evan, he prefers to be called Evan. Or Evan Christian, as we like to call him. I would have never thought it would be him, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know why it was such a good surprise, such a good twist, was because of the way that it was done. It wasn't done by bringing him in first. It was bringing in Orpheus first, because you're so confused about. Wait a second, why is Orpheus here? What is it? What is
they
his
were setting
business?
it up? We just didn't realize it.
Yeah,
and then it was also good that like whether the way they did it, like it was kind of twofold. It was like, okay, are Ben and Sean there? Oh no, they're not. But it's Evan. Like the double. That was really good. Kudos to Duel. Kudos to the writers.
But see what happens when you don't like look things up and you just watch the show.
I know, right? Yeah,
it's a good surprise feeling not to know who.
I didn't
who
even.
got
Well,
shot.
even in the previews that they have like online, I don't even like the spoilers that are out there. I don't remember seeing anything about
me
Evan.
neither. I don't think that I think they kept this one kind of tight-lipped up until as long as they could. They're getting better about it.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like it brings a thing to an excitement to the show when you don't know. Yeah. That's just me though. But what's sad to hear that they done killed Vincent in jail.
I know they got rid of him.
So much death. Like
right?
This is like we're getting into a phase where we just have so much death, and it gets to be a little morbid. It gets to be a little too much. Like last week it was Laura passed away. This week Vincent hung himself. We didn't see it, or he committed suicide. And then what's his name got shot and killed. Like it's like, okay, maybe enough for now.
It doesn't break my heart though.
What?
Like it's like it was like Laura stung, but I don't think it like broke my heart. Like I have no sympathy for Vincent. I felt like nothing. I was like, okay, bye-bye.
Well, I think my first thought was like, well, y'all will never know truly like what happened because y'all killed him. Like, why was he doing this? Like, what was the elaborate scheme? Like, what was the implant? And you killed Rhodes. So it's like, we have no explanation unless for some reason there was a conversation in jail right before his death or where he confessed everything. And then someone says, okay, great. Now we know, kill him. Peter Peters as who killed Vincent. I think Orpheus had someone kill him.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
Because
to allow Evan to have his revenge on Ciara.
Sure.
Was that his motive for killing?
Well, I think Orpheus took over so he could make the connection with Rhodes.
Oh, right, because Rhodes and him. Right, yes. I forgot about that. They had their little thing.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Yeah, because when Ben went to go visit Vincent, he was like, "I just called here an hour ago, and like he was alive." And Claude's like, "Well, things can change in an hour."
Shit happens quick here,
right? I'm like, it sure does. But I'm just wondering because like someone in the chat was saying that this storyline is kind of all over the place. Which I feel like a few storylines are kind of like that. And so I'm just kind of wondering where the road leads to.
Where the roads lead to?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's all over the place. I think it really just went from Vincent to Orpheus, kind of.
Yeah, there were there were some shifts this week about who had their hand in it and things, but it wasn't so bad that I couldn't follow it.
Yeah.
And this week,
that's when I get frustrated when they make things so convoluted that like I almost have to have like our the charts that we talk about.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about the twist that happened this week is that it shifted. I don't think anybody realizes this at first. Is that it shifted the dynamic of the villainous intentions because Vincent was all about getting revenge on Ben. Evan Christian is not after Ben. He could care less about Ben. His revenge is solely on Ciara. So that creates kind of a shift where we don't really know what his intention is keeping her continuously captive his form of revenge, or does he have something else planned? We don't know.
Good point. You know what I can tell you? Rhodes was a heavy son of a bitch. Because did you see like in that scene in the background where he was like picking him up? And even I could tell like the guy that played Rhodes was like doing a fantastic job of playing dead. But I could tell even he was kind of like dude.
Yeah, like let me help this along. Yeah. Dead bodies are heavy, yeah.
I totally thought for 2 seconds he was gonna open his eyes.
Yeah, and then cut.
But Evan got 2 like slides in before they cut. There was he's like, first we got to take out the trash. Cut. It's like that's as far as we're going with that. But I also liked that obviously they were able to link what Susan saw. The shark and like that she was in a cage and all that kind of stuff. And also when Sean and Ben went to Rhodes' apartment, the neighbor, because you always have that neighbor that knows everything, was like, he hasn't been here since September. And he was like, September? That's around the time that's here. And I was like, connect the dots, la 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 la.
Was anybody else screaming at the TV for Ben to them to trace
take a shirt off?
Oh, no. That's it. But yeah, I was like, why do we keep like briefly mentioning the phone call? Like I'm like, trace it. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know.
There was
one sort of glaring.
Like tracing the call or figuring out where it came from was never.
Yeah, it was never like an option. I was like, wait, why are you?
Like that's when you start. You start 69. Hello.
I was like, that would be the first thing. I mean,
remember, it was an unknown number, so it was probably private or blog. But with the help of Salem PD, maybe they would have been able to like figure it out.
off a cell
phone tower.
Yeah, it's you get whatever geography.
That's some Dateline there, right there, Justin. The cell towers tell a lot. It's always the cell towers.
Always the cell towers. But who was frustrated when Ben answered the phone and she was like, Ben, it's me. I was like, all right, girl, you better connect. And then it cuts to Ben and it's like,
yeah.
Hello?
I am glad that the phone call wasn't in vain though. I am glad that he like heard her voice. I would have been really frustrated if like
I agree.
They made us wait. They made us wait a good half an episode before she was finally like, I love you, Ben. And he was like,
yeah. Ciara?
I'm also glad that people are more people are coming on board with the Ciara is alive scenario because it is a leap to say Susan had a vision, so we believe that Ciara is alive. It's a leap, let's be honest. But it's like no. There's slowly things are starting to come into focus. Little dots are being connected, and Sean and Belle are like, okay, maybe they're not so crazy.
Can I ask though, is it a leap though? I feel like Ciara is the one person you would think is alive, where like half the town has been dead. You know what I mean? I feel like that Ciara is the one person you'd be like, well, maybe she is alive. There was no body. Like there's no body, and everyone else who's been dead, at least like that was somewhat real.
I think they figured that. I think they figured that if there was any hope that she would be alive, that Hope would have been the one to find her, that they would have heard from Hope by now. But they don't know that Hope's being sent on a wild goose chase.
Yeah. But also, I found this very interesting. The conversation that Claire and Belle were having. And Claire giving all of this like, oh my gosh, this is, this happened and Susan thought of this. And then, Ben got a phone call. And Belle was literally sitting there like, yeah, this is unheard of. And I'm like, girl, as long as you lived in Salem, like if Claire is coming to you with all this, your look shouldn't be like, yeah, babe, I don't know, Claire. Like, I don't know if that's possible. It's like,
how many times has John Black come back from the dead?
Right.
Exactly. His dad and his mom, her mom, both their parents.
Many people come back from the dead.
I want that Nicole scene when she heard Ava was alive. She was like, oh, okay, I believe it. Like, she's alive. Like, how many people have come back from the dead? She was like, okay, I'll believe it. Like, I want people in this town to like get to that reaction of like, okay, there's no evidence yet, but I'm gonna go with you here. Yeah.
A fan tweeted, I think, that like they were confused about the storyline because they were like, Ciara's been captive for months and now all of a sudden she wants to start trying to get out.
I mean,
Listen, again, fan with open arms. You just gotta, maybe she was adjusting, and then she tried, and we didn't see it, and now she's like really
exactly.
trying.
Who knows what happened that we didn't see?
Exactly. Well, that's pretty much it for this storyline. We'll continue to see how it unfolds. Hopefully, there will be some sort of rescue or something with Ciara. I literally thought they were going to wrap up this storyline this week, and then they did not. Oh, and another thing that made me think that was because Friday's description was Ciara has a reunion, and I'm like, oh, great, okay. But she had a reunion with Evan Christian, so there's that. So now we have our next storyline, which is Jack, Jennifer, Laura, who Michael Mattis so graciously put in parentheses dead. Abigail, Gwen, Chad, Sean, Jake, Gwen, Abigail, Gabi. So lots happened with this, starting with the funeral, which we really didn't see the funeral, but we saw just like the remnants of
I mean, there was a lot. There's a disconnect with this because Laura, what happened with Laura and Gwen happened almost a week. Yeah. We had almost a week break from that entire storyline. And then when we came back, it was the funeral. Gwen had gotten released. They had deemed it an accident. There was no repercussions on her part. We didn't see any of that. And I like to see it.
See how it all unfolds.
See how it all unfolded. Even though they recapped it nicely and we knew, okay, why wasn't she arrested or anything? Because they deemed it as an accident and whatnot. So, whatever. We picked it up and then, yeah.
And I did like that there was Abigail, she definitely had a moment of like just being a little overwhelmed with the death of her grandmother at the DeMera mansion, and a bit of frustrationness, and I'm glad that she decided to have Chad go along with her. I honestly also liked that moment between her and Kate. Kate's just kind of like, I know we were at odds and everything like that, but like, I'm very sorry, for your loss. And I felt like Kate was coming from the standpoint of like, I care for Chad. I do care for you. I know I messed up your family at one point in time, but like, I am really sorry to hear about her death. So, and then the cat fight at the cemetery, the cat fight that led to both of them getting taken to Salem PD and both of them being like handcuffed to a chair.
Sean just was not playing around. He's like, I got too much other shit to deal with. You're coming down to the station. You're gonna sit in this room and
you're just gonna talk it out. Because at this point, both of y'all have pressed charges on each other. So one of two things is gonna happen. Either you're going to jail, or y'all are gonna drop the charges and both go home and have it work this out.
I loved Sean in that moment so much. He was like, look, I'm trying to be sympathetic here, but I got stuff going on too. I can't handle this right now.
But you also heard like in Abigail's voice how annoyed she was when he was like, give me your hand. And she was like,
me? Like,
you have got to be kidding me. Like, are you serious right now? You're gonna leave me in here with her? I'm surprised Abigail didn't use her other hand to be like, I still hate you, bitch.
Yeah.
In the face.
Anybody else really scared of Abigail now?
Yeah, she's fierce.
I'm liking the toughness.
Do not mess with her. Or
her conversation with Gabi scared the heck out of me because I'm like, oh, she is serious.
I felt like she was definitely coming from like a sincere, like, I'm sorry, but I was doubtful because some things didn't add up. And Abigail was still like, oh, of course. And and how dare you? And I went to jail. And can't you say I'm sorry? Did your parents teach you how to say I'm sorry?
Parents teach you how to apologize?
Right. But I love how Abigail like kind of like clapped back at her. But was like hoping that they could work together to take down Gwen. But she was like, aren't you tired of this? And this happened to you and and I was like, when the fingers come out and people start doing this, then you know that like they've kept tabs. But what do you guys think of an Abigail, Gabi team up against Gwen?
Scared. because
I like it. I'm curious.
I-
This like was really piqued my interest. I'm curious what they're gonna do, and then what their relationship will be like after whatever goes down. But I just like how Abigail has just like fed the F up, and she's like, who can help me take this bitch down? Gabi. Like, she's being kind of actually smart about it. She found someone with a motive to do it. She found someone that has that mindset and that can help her. And even though they've been at odds before, it hasn't really been, you know, what Abigail did to Gabi. She was mentally ill, so can't really fault her for that, even though Gabi did, you know, go to jail, miss time with her daughter, all of that. Even though they have all this animosity built up with them, now they have a common enemy.
Yeah.
I'm
curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm interested in it, like you said, Michael, in terms of like what it does to Abigail and Gabi, and if it brings them back to some sort of a friendship or at least like ceasefire kind of a thing. But one thing I was noticing this week and last week too, I don't know about you guys, but are you? I gotta say, I'm not really like feeling like this version of Gabi. I don't know. I feel like we're getting like vamp Gabi now, as opposed to like she used to have like a more duality to her. And I know she's been through a lot the last few years, but I'm just not feeling her character. I feel like she's coming across very sort of entitled and obnoxious, and it's like not
Abby or Gabi.
Gabi.
Oh,
definitely.
No, I totally get what you're saying, Justin. And what it comes down to is purpose, because the what used to balance out Gabi is her daughter and her relationship. So she was in love, and even her relationship with Will and Sunny. You know, she was always at her best when she had scenes with them. No one else. No, they're not on the canvas anymore. They're not there. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying about we're getting vamp Gabi, is because she's trying to like redefine herself and almost rediscover her purpose, and part of that is business, and she's still kind of with like pursuing Jake, but kind of not. So I feel that's why I'm excited about this storyline, is one, because Abigail and Gabi together could do a lot of damage, you know, the enemy of my enemy kind of thing. That you could do a lot of damage there, and we don't know what will become of this like frenemy thing that they're going with, but it's exciting to see.
It's almost reminiscent of when Kate and Sammy finally teamed up. That was good.
With
in the porch, with Gabi. I'm talking about when Kate and Sammy and Egypt exactly
took over,
and they were taking over Demira.
I mean,
that was like a stroke of genius.
I missed that.
I will say, like, going back to Gabi, I feel like we're not getting like sweet innocent Gabi, like, you know, that high school senior portrait that they showed like a couple years ago of her. I feel like we're not getting her because I feel like she understands where she is in life, and that like and all of her experiences have built her up to be this very strong, like, I'm not going to take anyone's shiz kind of a person. And she also realized that she's trying to be in the corporate like business world, which is basically ran by these like men. And she has to come in fully confident and capable to kind of show them like, you're not going to run me over. I know business just as well as you do. But I also kind of feel like I'm not sure if she really still has feelings for Jake, or if she's just utilizing that in order to kind of be like, you could have had this, but you didn't. And guess what? We're going to win. Bye-bye. You know, like,
I feel
I'm
like
with you on that.
I feel like she does still have a thing for Jake. I feel like she still has like legit feelings for him. And then that's fueling her kind of attitude towards him.
But I feel like she's leading with it. She's leading with games instead of like feelings and honesty. Like, it's weird. Like, that's why, I mean, I agree with you, Tony. It's like she's like, it's hard to tell, like, what are you up to? Or like, is this just a game to you? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, like if she really feels some type of way for Jake, or if she's just kind of like, well, I'm just going to use this You know what I mean? Because even that day he came over to basically tell her no, she was still in a towel and she was like, whatever. I mean, there's nothing under here that you haven't seen before. And it's like, if you don't go put some clothes on and dry yourself off and talk to this man. So
I think she thinks she still has feelings for Jake.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing where it's like you're so stuck in what could have been, you convince yourself that you're still desperately into this person, but like if they were to actually get together, it would fizzle out almost immediately, kind of a thing.
And also that was her thing with Stefan, was like the push and pull, the arguing, the games kind of a thing. So
but it worked with them.
Jake.
And then, of course, we had Jake and Gwen's conversation that they had with each other.
He should not have called her trash. He was just too... like...
Was he wrong? No.
I was like, you're just... Like, I get it. I guess I get it. But I was like, that's just way harsh, Ty. Way harsh.
No, but
you're trash and you'll always be trash. I'm like... I don't know.
But
for some reason, I'm having a soft spot for Gwen, and I don't like. I don't know. I just feel like my gut when I see people coming at her, except Abigail. For whatever reason, I'm okay with Abigail doing it. But when Jake came after her, I wanted to be like, dude, back off. Give her a break. Just leave her alone.
Mm.
But you know what it is coming from Jake. I think why it hits harder, because Jake's been like quote unquote down in the gutter with her, kind of a thing. He even though he now knows he's a Demera, he technically came from nothing like her. So anybody else, any of the Horton saying something, she can take it because she can point to like, well, you had privilege and blah blah blah. It always comes back to that with her. It's like, you had this and you had that privilege and that privilege. But with Jake, it's different because he came and brought himself up from the same place that she did. And it doesn't matter now that he wears a nice suit because he still acts like that same guy.
I get that his thoughts, and I get like, yes, they do have that in common, that they came from nothing, whatever, but he's not like lying, he's not deceiving, he's not drugging people, and that's where his judgment is coming from. But still, I'm just like, give her a break, dude. You don't need to be, just go to your meeting that you're supposed to be at, that you've been trying to get to for 3 episodes.
He is late. He is late for that meeting. He is late. Him is late.
Even Kate was like, "Aren't you supposed to be at the office?" Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, but what are you gonna do?" He was like, "Yeah, but no excuse."
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's that with that storyline.
Oh my God, I feel like we didn't talk actually about Laura.
Well, I mean, she wasn't on this week. She did. Like what? Like, you know, I mean, and besides, Jamie Lynn is coming on later on in the show, so we have plenty of time to talk about all things Laura.
Yes.
I guess the only thing to really talk about is, do we believe it was accidental, or do we still don't know what happened? Do we believe it was accidental, or do we believe that Gwen, you know?
I think this was accidental. I think this was she was enraged. There was a tussle. You know, Laura lost her balance, you know, the classic, oh, I hit my head at the edge of the table, and then now she dead. Because there was that very sentimental moment that Gwen had, you know, once she was released.
I feel like they're presenting it as though Gwen does genuinely feel bad.
Yeah.
She feels bad. She feels remorseful. So yeah, maybe it actually was an accident.
It was an accident.
And I think it's an accident.
And I think also, like, it could be that moment of like, oh my God, this plan has gone awry. Like, no one was supposed to die, but I just want people to empathize with, you know, that I had a rotten childhood because somebody toyed with my life, and my life didn't have to be like this.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to mention before we get out of this, round of applause for Jennifer Rhodes, because I think she did a beautiful job honoring her mother and telling Julie to shut up. And and also, Oh, AMC fans got their vindication
yeah.
this week.
I had to, funny thing is when that happened, I was like, is this a Jennifer Laura callback with the pancake? Like I knew something was going on here just from Katie's face, but I was like, is this like an old Jennifer storyline from like the 80s or something? And then
No.
Yeah,
it was totally not Days related.
Yeah.
It was a reference to something that happened on a different show.
Yeah.
And we know from the past, I don't like when they do that. I don't like it when they low-key acknowledge that a different actor is playing a different character. I don't like it when they like, it takes me out of it. Like, don't do that. I know everyone eats it up.
Did you recognize what it was, Michael? Did you know?
Well, no, Twitter told me. Like, I was like, oh. And I just rolled my eyes and kept scrolling.
Well, I like the tongue-in-cheekness because I think what it does is it's more so acknowledgement for those diehard soap fans to go, oh, now that was cute, and then they kind of move on. For us who don't know, it'd be like, eat the pancakes, anime. Like, what's wrong with them? Like, they look good, you know. Like the rest of us are like that, but I think
poor Julie slaved over those pancakes.
And nobody
wanted to touch them.
Listen,
you pushing pancakes on people before a funeral. Like, Julie, sit down. What do you like?
Well, she's just making sure everyone eats and is taking care of themselves. People have gone through a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on. Speaking of a lot going on, we still have more to discuss, and we're going to move on to Claire, Charlie, Allie, Lucas, Tripp, Ava, Nicole, Rafe, and Belle.
So good to see Lucas again. Thank you.
Yeah, he was gone for a minute. Now he's back. He said that he was like on vacay or something, or out of town for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I love how Tripp was just kind of like, yeah, okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, okay,
I gotta go to the hospital, dude. I gotta go see my mom, dude. Gotta get to the hospital.
He was really trying to, but I'm glad that there was, an acknowledgement of, an apology, and I think people are going to have to apologize to Tripp.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we feel like there's talk on Twitter that they're going overboard with the sympathy for Tripp? I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
We knew that this was going to happen. We knew that this was going to happen.
But like people are like, oh, Allie's being too, she's focusing on how bad she feels about Tripp, but not what happened to her. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I can see how she would feel. She's going through a lot, but I'm sure like she feels guilty for accusing someone that didn't actually do what she thought they did.
Yeah,
I feel like it's warranted.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand, like, just because we haven't seen it, she almost got him kicked out of medical school. That's how bad this got.
Yeah.
So she really legitimately could have destroyed his life. But she's 100% focusing. She has enough energy to focus on both. And the thing is that we all have to recognize they've both just been through the ringer by the same person who meant to hurt them both.
Yeah.
Let's be like, it wasn't an unintentional. He meant to hurt them both in the maximum amount of damage, and that's exactly what he did. So I really think that they're going to find some way to kind of heal together because their families are connected. People owe Tripp an apology. It's going to work itself out. It's just they all need to kind of they need to give themselves a break. Everybody's like, Allie is so hard on herself about this, and I really think like Tripp didn't accept. People think that because Tripp didn't accept her apology right away, that he doesn't forgive her. I think he forgives her. I think
he just needed a minute.
He just needed a minute. Healing takes time.
And the thing is that, it was his brother, and then he's dealing with his mom and the brother being psycho. So Tripp is dealing with a lot too.
And so, Charlie completely tried to be like, oh, it was consensual. I was
oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that scene with him and Gwen, with Charlie and Gwen, because Gwen has his number, of course, like everybody else does. And that interaction, like, and it's just so peculiar. I'm wondering where they're going with those two. Still.
It's also interesting too, because remember, Gwen now is Tripp's cousin. It's like that side of the family where she hasn't explored, where remember she's essentially a Johnson too.
True.
She's now Steve's niece and she's Tripp's cousin, and So yeah, part of me thought they was gonna mention that, like, or she was gonna say like, oh, like I have
she just became a part of the family tree.
Yeah.
She hasn't figured it out. We haven't figured it out. So like we all know that she hasn't quite figured it out.
Yeah.
Yet.
You know what was interesting? What was interesting to me during that scene with I just thought of this, with Gwen and Charlie, when Charlie was talking about Claire, did not once say the name Claire. And Gwen doesn't know that he's talking about Claire. And Claire and Gwen had a friendship in Bayview, which is how Gwen was brought on. So I'm wondering if that somehow her relationship with Claire is going to be bring something involved with it.
They also abandoned that friendship too, because they
did abandon that friendship, and that's why I'm wondering if they like. I just noticed like when he was talking to Gwen, he just kept her, she never mentioned her by name, and I was kind of waiting for it, and I was waiting for a reaction when he said Claire, for Gwen to be like, oh no, that's my friend, you stay away from her. Yeah. But that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
I chuckled so much though back in the hospital when Nicole basically was like, I don't have any room in my apartment, but Rafe does. And Rafe was literally like, can we talk for a second? Just
can you imagine Ava and Gabi living under the same roof?
Oh.
but I also like, if I don't know if you guys noticed Ava's face though when they did like leave the room to like talk about it. She was just like,
yeah.
Because it's like that. It's like that moment, you know, when you have that friend that's like, oh no, it's okay, he'll give you a ride, and you're like,
yeah, and you're like, yeah,
yeah.
I didn't ask for this. Don't put me in this. Yeah.
And then the person is kind of like, oh,
maybe, yeah.
There was all that, but I feel like there was like a key thing of Rafe being like, you know, you've convinced me, and I'm like.
I wasn't with it either. He was making he was like, first of all, a mob princess is gonna live with the commissioner.
Yes.
Also, like, and they completely forgot that Tripp lives with her now. They were like, oh, she's gonna be all alone, and he's like, okay, she has a ton of money. She can hire security. She can move to a new, like, this makes no, you know. I was with Rafe. He's like, this literally makes no sense. It's so unnecessary
and also Duke does not need that spare room.
Duke
is the teddy bear that
they're really riding that bear thing out, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Nope.
We ain't seen Holly, but we got a Duke storyline.
Right.
A Duke storyline.
I think that's pretty much it. There was a run-in with Lucas, Allie, and Charlie in Horton Town Square, and Lucas exchanged his words, and then we'll see how that continues to unfold, because that was hashtag awkward, because he was like, is that my son? And I'm like,
oops. Yeah. I'm like, after that confrontation with Claire though, I'm so done. Every word out of Charlie's mouth when he was with Claire that day, I wanted to strangle him.
That was scary. Yeah.
Every word of that, I was just more and more disgusted by the second.
Yeah. All right. So before we move on to tidbits, just a quick reminder, you guys make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, including our YouTube channel, which you're on right now. If you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to that as well. We are wherever podcasts can be found under Dishin Days, so make sure you subscribe. We appreciate your support in bringing you this fine recap every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now moving on to our tidbits before our segments, and then any second, Jaime Lyn Bauer will be here, so we definitely can't wait to chit chat with her about all things Laura Horton. But first, we're going to go into Sarah Zander. That was a surprise because I was like, oh my gosh, like. First of all, I was like, Sarah, say something. Sarah, the man is asking you to marry him. Like, say something. And then she was like, let's have cake. I'm like, cake sounds great, but however, this is not the moment. But I was thoroughly surprised when he looked at the cake and the cake said, "Will you marry me?" And I was like, "Oh my God, it's a double proposal."
He almost cried.
It was cute. It was really cute.
I loved it. And
They're
I
a great
can't.
couple.
I mean, we could run down the list of why they're perfect for each other, and we'll be here all day. But at the end of the day, they just fit.
They
I
get
mean,
each
they're
other.
just so good
Each other's
together.
lobsters.
Yeah. Marissa in the chat says Zara proposal was the icing of the cake. Totally beautiful on how they did it. So that's good. It looks like a wedding is on the horizon, so that should be interesting. Then we have Jake, Kate, Philip, and Gabi. I don't want them to make Kate come across as insecure about Gabi.
Yeah.
Right. And they totally
is
did.
Too strong of a woman to like know.
Yeah, she doesn't
where
need
she
she doesn't need a man, and she doesn't need Jake.
Yeah, they're
Right.
like pushing this narrative, and it's weird because she's been with younger guys before. It's so not part of her history or her character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
It's weird
it's
that they're
they're
pushing it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
strange.
It's just another way they're not writing Kate true to character.
Yeah.
And why is
Just-
Philip needling his mother?
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, back off. Yeah, it was a little weird.
She is a grown ass woman. Leave her be.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because she came there like really kind of making sure, I guess, that he takes on Gabi Sheik, and he's like, why? Like, what's the tea? Like, take care of your relationship. Like, you don't need to be insecure about that.
She
I
couldn't
think
possibly think that's a smart business move.
Yeah, I was thinking people forget like Kate. I mean, Kate really doesn't have anything against Gabi. It's really Gabi that has the issue. Kate is very willing to still be friends with her and still have a relationship with her. And Kate's always been the person to back Gabi and back Gabi Sheik. So like, I feel like that was forgotten. It was like, why are you? It was like she's backing Gabi like she always has. Like,
Yeah.
Gabi is acting weird now, but Kate still has some affection for her, and she thinks she's a good businesswoman. Like.
I think at the end, it's almost kind of like two things are happening. I think Gabi thinks that she needs to kind of use what she got to get what she want and like show Kate up. And there's a part of me that hopefully this is the right feeling. Kate is not really worried about it. I think she does think Gabi Sheik is something good. I think she thinks it didn't work with Demira because of Basic Black. But I think she was just kind of like, yeah, take this company. But I think it's just coming across as, oh, you want me to take it so that Jake doesn't take it. But I'm like, Jake is not going to take it because he's going to look at her and say, what should I do? And she's going to say, well, no, because business-wise, it's not a good move because of Basic Black. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then we have Brady, Chloe, Kristen, Susan, Vivian, John, and Marlena. I really wish Kristen would just stay in jail.
Yeah,
just quietly. Just like.
Yeah.
We want no drama, Kristen. Even though.
Yeah.
Even though it's not true, Kristen. Kristen is drama. I mentioned this to Tony. Did anyone think when they first showed Susan at Julie's place,
eating the ice cream,
did you think they had switched? Did you think that was Kristen?
No.
I did.
Oh, really?
I did. And it was just the way that she was kind of acting, because you don't normally see Susan. Like, she looked at her phone and she was like,
oh, I did notice that.
And then she goes, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's Kristen. Then they showed Kristen and I was like, oh, but I don't think Kristen would have been eating that sloppy hot fudge sundae.
Yeah, I did notice that change when she answered the phone. I thought it was a weird choice to ever made.
Yeah, I totally thought they had switched, but then I was like, oh, she's still trying to convince her to switch. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And there's a part of me that's like, Susan, no, don't do it. Like, jail is not vacation.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
Sunday bar or not. No.
Right.
Sunday bar is not worth getting shanked in the shower or being someone's girlfriend. No.
Exactly.
It's not connecting. Yeah. I said this last week. It's so not connecting for me why Susan would ever agree to do this for Kristen. They're not friends. They've hated each other for years.
And it's just like the whole, like, what this week, what we saw kind of clinched it for Susan was seeing how Chloe was with Brady. But I'm like, why does Susan give a frick? Like,
that was my,
it doesn't make sense.
Say, I was like, what? Like, if anything, she would want Chloe with Brady because that would keep him away from Kristen, who she dislikes. Like, I don't know. None of this is making sense to me, quite honestly.
Because the moment that I was like, oh, Susan is considering, because like Kristen is so like, I need to be there because Brady's gonna fall in love with Chloe and da 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 da. But when Chloe walked in with her bag, she was like, oh,
yeah.
I know Susan
what you
was
doing
like,
here?
It was like Susan was coming across like Kristen's best friend or sister or something, like, oh, like what you doing with my girl's man or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
But also, like, Chloe isn't making it any better. Like, girl, you didn't have to give him no Valentine's card.
I guess it was from Rachel, but at the same time, it's just like she's
was it?
subtly flirting
Yeah, it
with
was
him.
from Rachel.
they showed the drawing
missed that.
inside, and it was just a bunch of scribbles.
Yeah,
Got
It was
Rachel.
like, is she
It
an
was from
artist or
Rachel.
what?
But
Okay.
at the same time, it's like, yeah, I totally agree with you, Tony, that she's not making it easy on herself. She is subtly flirting with him, wiping his chin, doing things like, I get that they were married. I get that they've been friends for a long time, but there's still boundaries.
But they also have a connection with each other that, like, and I think there's a respect of like, I'm not trying to get with you. You're with Kristen. Like, we're friends. Like, it's fine.
Still
And that's
boundaries.
it. And last but not least, we have John and Marlena.
The frittata from hell, apparently. That Dr. Marlena Evans, a doctor, does not know that eggs go bad.
There's a way to test eggs, and I do this. I always put them in a pot with water, and if they float up, they're
I've
bad.
heard
And
that,
if they
yeah.
don't, then like they're still good.
Or you just, read the
I
expiration
mean,
date.
I
on
just
the
go by
card.
like, expiration date, or I know how long those eggs have. I'm like, those are bad. Those are old eggs.
Well, sometimes like you look at an expiration date, and sometimes you still have like a grace period. So that's why I always check. Like I'll put them in water and see if they float. If they don't float, then like we're good. If they float, I'm like, okay, that one's got to go.
It was a little strange that how they kept it going. Like usually it's something like a throwaway line like that of why they wouldn't be at the wedding. It's like, oh, they got food poisoning, like keep it moving. But they kept like going back to it. Like it was a patata. And John mentioned it to Chloe and Brady. And Marlena mentions it to Clay. It's like it was a storyline or something. Like it was strange. I don't know.
Yeah. That was
Use the guest bathroom.
The F word.
Oh my God. All right, y'all. Well, that has been your week of days, and it's now time to start our favorite part of the show, our segment. And we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap!
All right. Now listen. I had to give snaps where snaps are due. I am a big lover of food. However, the way Kristen made the Sunday station sound at the state pen in order to convince Susan to switch with her was absolutely lovely. Like this whole scene to me was just hilarious and just like snap worthy because you have Susan who's just trying to treat herself and enjoy her ice cream. You got Kristen who's like, girl, they got ice cream in here and it is good. And she's like, really? I can get 2 cherries? I was like, okay, Kristen, you really digging deep, honey. So Stacey Haidu for trying to convince Susan to switch with you over some ice cream. You get Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Snap!
And of course, for your portrayal of Susan Banks, who you know I absolutely love. All right, and now it's time for Caption That.
All right, this week's Caption That photo comes courtesy of Susan and Marlena. Also Stacey Hayduk. Stacey Hayduk just killing our segments this week. And this week's caption comes from Doreen Rodriguez on Instagram with her caption, "That time when Susan kept her earmuffs on so she didn't have to keep hearing about John and Marlena's flapjack food poisoning."
That was a good one.
That's hilarious.
And that was this week's
Caption That. And now it's time for Those Were the Days.
Yes, this week's Those Were Days. I'm taking you guys back to February 19th, 1990. We have Steve and Kayla in the birth of their first child, Stephanie. Out of all the things that I thought that was a cute one, how we just had sort of Steve and Kayla reunited fully and getting remarried. I just thought that would make me want to look back to the birth of Stephanie Johnson, February 19th, 1990.
Those were the days. And now it's time for It's a Gift.
Miss Susan Banks giving us or serving us all the single ladies Valentine's mantra. It's about me. Me.
May.
And that was It's a Gift. All right, that was a good one actually. It looks like Susan just kind of dominated our segment.
Yeah.
Go around.
Yes.
And of course, we have Me World 2's Old Shiz Moment of the Week. So we will be sure to retweet that during News and Gossip. But first, some news and gossip.
Yes, we're going to start with, we have a couple interesting new projects this week. One of them, Trevor Donovan, ex-Jeremy Horton, for those of you who remember.
Wait a minute. Out of all the pictures you could have chosen,
okay, first of all,
you chose this one?
Okay, first of all, there's a little story here.
Yeah, Justin.
Okay, this is not my picture, but first of all, I'm not above this. It wasn't my picture because I didn't see it first. This is courtesy of Michael Mattis, who I appreciate even more now.
I was getting the pictures ready, and I was like,
yes.
There's a better picture of Trevor Donovan we can use for this. And bam. Thank you, Google.
So this is Michael Mattis's doing.
This is Michael Mattis, but I clearly approved it because he didn't text me the picture, but he says, I got a good one of Trevor.
I got another picture. Just FYI.
Him and I have conversed about Trevor, about this all thing right here. So yeah,
y'all are a mess.
Listen,
continue.
Yes, and listen, check out Trevor's IG. But anyway, back to Trevor Donovan. Ex-Jeremy Horton was just cast in the new Ronald Reagan biopic, aptly titled Reagan. Trevor will play real-life Secret Service agent John Barletta, who's Reagan's long-serving personal protection. Film is set to come out next year. We will keep you posted on that. But yeah, big congrats to Trevor. He stays busy. Does a lot of the Hallmark movies a lot.
Don't nobody know what movie you was just talking about. Everybody's looking at all the
wait, there we go.
The audacity, not the scan. I cannot.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
People in the chat are losing their mind right now.
Listen, like I said, go to Trevor's IG. You'll get your fill.
And poor Araceli, she just got over being sick. She had the hot flashes again.
All right, sorry. We got to move on to Allison Sweetie and Christian Alfonso.
Oh boy.
Go ahead.
Allison Sweetie, our very own Savvy Brady, Christian Alfonso, Brady, team up Outside of Days. Both can be seen tonight at 8 p.m. on Hallmark's, let me get this straight, Hallmark's Movies and Mysteries channel in Chronicle Mysteries Help to Death. These are those murder mystery series that Allison Sweeney not only stars in but produces as well. While promoting the movie, her and Christian appeared on Allie's IGTV show called Allie's Eats. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. It's kind of interesting and funny, and it's Allie sort of in her element and cooking and just talking to people, and it's a cool. They talked about working together, some days history, and Christian also revealed one of the things that she's sad about in regards to Days is not getting the opportunity to say goodbye to the crew whom she misses. So I know we talk a lot about whether or not she'll ever come back, if she'll ever come back. So I don't know. I think it was a little sort of glimmer of hope there that we maybe possibly could see her in the future sometime. We'll see. Moving forward, we have a big happy birthday to Stephen Nichols, who celebrated his 70th birthday on February 19th. So
70. Yes, I can't believe that.
Birthday. I know, it looks amazing.
Yeah. He drank that death because he went to Isabella Rossellini, got that potion.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah. Mary Beth, our very own Kayla Johnson, sent him a really sweet message on Instagram. If you go to Mary Beth's page, so you can actually see her speak these words. But I have a quote here. She's basically sent a message to Stephen saying, "You are the one true love. You are one of the true loves of my life. 35 years of friendship. How lucky are we?" And those of you who just follow them know that they have great admiration for one another. They're actually really good friends, and they work outside of Days together on a number of different projects. Yeah, once I saw that, I thought it was very sweet. Yeah, last but not least, Spectrum Celebrity Events has upcoming virtual Q&As, including one with Ken Lewis from Arrow, Casey Gott from Riverdale, and our very own Vanessa Williams, Valerie Grant, coming up, more to be announced. For every ticket sold, Spectrum donates $10 to True Colors United. And for tickets, visit spectrumcelebrityevents.com.
And you guys definitely make sure you do that. We just had one with Scott Evans, who is Chris Evans' brother. And it was amazing. We had fans from all over the world. Everyone chit-chatted, asked questions. So they are a lot of fun. So make sure you go and get your ticket. And if you're lucky, you'll see me there. Yay. All right. So now, you all, it is time to find out what is to come on next week's episodes of Days of Our Lives. If you would like to see the extended promo, please make sure you go to the Dual app to see the extended promo. But for now, here's a sneak peek at what's to come on Days of Our Lives.
Ooh, it starts with Sammy.
Ooh. I'm in already, yeah.
He's a filthy piece of garbage. That monster doesn't deserve to live.
They all despise him.
I brought Charlie into this world. Maybe I need to take him out.
You're a dead man. But who will be the one to say?
Don't shoot.
Ooh.
Somebody's days are numbered.
Oh, no.
It sucks because we like Mike Manning and he's so good at it,
Yes.
but the character needs
No, we're
that
done.
has to happen. Yeah.
We're done with him. Sorry.
Dang.
Maybe
Sorry,
there's a twin out.
Charlie.
Maybe there's a twin out there that can come back, but
You know what? Let's give it a few months and he comes back as Johnny.
Shut up.
Too weird? Is that too weird?
Yes.
Is that too weird? Yeah.
oh yeah,
Well,
because
Let's
that's-
give it a
that's
year
Abby's
then.
brother.
He could come back as Johnny.
Yeah.
Listen.
Right. Well, speaking of coming up, we have a bonus clip for you all, courtesy of the fine folks at NBC, of someone that's coming in.
I've got 3 good reasons why you should watch me on Days of Our Lives. I'm bold, I'm fabulous, and you know I'm gonna stir up trouble. Let's do this.
Jack A. Harry joins Days of Our Lives, NBC weekdays.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Oh,
Me
that's
too.
cool.
If she doesn't look like Sandra Clark in
I
that
know,
red dress,
exactly.
Mary.
And true to Ron form, he's probably going to do a nod to 227 that we're all going to get.
I'll accept.
Right. I almost just want him to see her, for Jack A's character to see Marlena and be like, ooh, Marlena.
Dr. Evans, Marlena.
So excited. I'm just so excited.
Oh my God, we gotta get it.
But they are really they're driving this home. They are just she is coming. Y'all get ready, and
She's a big get. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, everyone, the wait is over. We have our special guest joining us right now. You know her as Laura Horton, and she is coming into the room. She is Miss Jaime Lyn Bauer. Slowly coming in. Hey, Jamie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. We hear you. We don't see you yet, though.
Oh, okay.
I know. There she is. Hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
We're doing great. First of all, it is such an honor and a privilege to have a chance to talk with you. I mean, you have done such amazing things on Days of Our Lives. And of course, we were all sad to see what happened last week.
Yes.
We were like, no, not Laura, no.
I have to tell you though, it was very cute because, Matthew had been such a big help to me, particularly the day that I was lying there dead on the floor. And of course they had to put a pad down me because I just had a partial knee replacement.
Oh.
So I couldn't fall or do a nice stunt for them, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Matt helped pull me up, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, wait, let me get up on my good knee. Okay, pull me up from here. And And so he pulled me up and he said, I just want you to know that I've died 5 times on this show and you shouldn't worry about anything.
Have you in the past like year and a half kept up with all of the deaths and returns that have happened? Because like pretty much anyone that, maybe not everyone, but a lot of folks that have characters that have perished in the past 5 years are back alive again. So
They
you
are.
can never say like in Salem now you can never say never. There's a
never
potion.
say die.
There's a potion out
Yeah, and we
there
don't
that
know what's going to happen or how they're going to work it out or whatever. And of course, I didn't even know if it was an accident or not. Of course, I don't think it was. She was pretty gnarly. Okay. I used my most professional psychiatrist voice to get her to let go of me, and she refused. So I don't really know, but it was really cute. The last day we've been shooting scenes from 3 different shows, and mostly with Katie and Marcy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that, the producers came out. They were applauding, which was very sweet, and they said, nobody really dies on this show. Well, that's nice hearing from the producers, at least, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I have to say, Jamie,
and then they were jealous because, of course, I'm hugging my co-workers who were Katie and Marcy, who were such troopers. You know, we had so many words, right? And emotion and everything. And they were so incredible, so professional, so kind, so loving. And I'm hugging them goodbye, and they stood there, the producers watching us, and go, well, we don't get to do that. And I go, well, you haven't spent hours on this set without your mask on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
how was it this time around going in? Like you've had, they've brought you back several times over the past few years, but coming in this time with COVID, and you're dealing with a new actress playing Jennifer, and like how was that coming in? Because I can't imagine they allowed you guys, from what we've heard, you guys can't really interact with each other until you've crossed, what did I hear? There's a barrier on the set, and when you cross that barrier, you can like take your mask off and interact. But
they wouldn't even let us rehearse on our lunch hour, even though we'd just been together for 3 hours on the set. They wanted us to put our masks on for that 30 minutes while we were rehearsing, because we chose not to take a lunch, but to keep practicing, right? And finally, I couldn't breathe. I just moved over to the desk. I pulled my mask down. I just went, sorry, guys, I can't breathe. Then as the crew started coming in, of course, I put my mask back on. But, some of the roles are obviously kind of odd. But the cool thing that happened, because I didn't know what to do or how I was going to end up being able to run lines, because you can't go to anyone's dressing room. And Katie was so kind. She called me and she somehow tied me in. Don't ask me, I'm old. I don't know how to do all the techno stuff. Anyway, she got Marcy on the line, or she'd get Matthew on the line so that we could run lines together on the phone. And she did it faithfully. And not only that, when she couldn't get anyone, she just played their part too. I mean, she was so amazing. So even though I had just met her, I mean, it is so delightful when the other people that you're working with are such professionals and are not trying to steal a scene, upstage you, or do any nonsense, or in the middle of your most emotional scene, blow a line. Oh, that's an old trick. Anyway, so it was incredible. They were she was a doll. Marcy, of course, first they didn't recognize her because she had her mask on. We're standing, just getting ready to go on stage. And she goes, it's me, it's Marcy. And then she pulled her mask down just for a minute so I could see that it was her. And I went, oh my gosh. Anyway, which we're not supposed to do, but come on. I mean, we're going to be working together. You get 2 tests the beginning of the week for COVID. and then you have to go back out and wait in your car. I mean, you probably have heard this from everyone else, so I won't repeat it. But I mean, and then you get one every day. I mean, come on. The chances you're having COVID is like nil. Okay.
Yeah.
So we worked it out.
Yeah.
I remember when I did my scenes with Kate, you know, the character Kate.
Wow.
Sorry. We hugged at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, you know, they don't like you to do this. And I went, I don't care. And she said, neither do I. And we hugged. So, because we can't go in each other's room and hug or catch up. And you know that we have our birthdays the same day.
Oh, I didn't realize
Birthdays
that.
are both March 9th.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
We have
Well,
that
happy
in
early
common.
birthday as well.
Yes, happy birthday.
coming up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Jamie, can I ask?
Go ahead, Justin.
Was this visit somewhat bittersweet? Because I'm used to when they bring Laura back, I'm used to sort of seeing her in scenes with. You had one scene with Kate, which was great, but I'm used to seeing a lot of scenes with Kate, or I'm used to getting like those best friend scenes with Marlena. Or I actually was looking forward to maybe getting you and Vivian, a scene with you and Linda Dano this time, and we sort of didn't get those scenes. Was that a little bittersweet for you, or how was it?
I was a little sad not to see the people that I thought I was going to come and see. Missy and I are close. I had even called her a couple of months before. She didn't respond. I don't know what was going on, but anyway, so. And I was disappointed I didn't get to see our costumer, who I've known forever, Richard. He wasn't there. So that was a little sad, but you know.
Yeah.
There are relationships that when you're working, you get really close. Although, oh gosh, I'm going up on even, I can't even think of her name. Anyway. Kate, what's her real name?
Lauren
Coswell.
Thank you, Lauren Coswell. Oh my gosh. Anyway, senior moment. Sorry. Anyway, so Lauren and I have really connected, and we're really good friends. And they used to live out close to where I live, so we could see she and Nikki. But they moved further in. We haven't seen them at all for the last couple of years. So it was great seeing her and being with her and reconnecting, and we'll get it together soon.
Well, like we said, Laura may be coming back. So, you know, once this clears up, Laura may come back and we get to see those scenes with. Yeah,
it could be that they kept me hidden because they wanted to make sure that I didn't die at the hands of, that I wasn't found. I mean, they'll come up with something, or I thought maybe I'd come back and haunt somebody, or that's not out of the question.
All viable, all viable solution.
Jamie, how did you feel about this time coming back around? I know, you know, protocols are different and everything, but how did you feel about the storyline that brought you back? How much did you know? Did you know like everything that was going to happen to Laura in this short time span?
No, I just know that I went from 5 shows to 6 shows all of a sudden as they were talking to me. And that, of course, was my death day. But anyway, other than that, no, I didn't know anything until I got the scripts and started reading. But it's just fine. I mean, let's face it, I don't even remember when I started on that show. I know when my contract was up, it was 1990. I think I started 7 years before that. So, so it's been a long run because they have had me back regularly.
Yeah, they have.
And you know what's impressed me is at least the last 6-7 years, I've had great scenes written for me. They were all just, I like the meat. You know what I mean? I don't want to just come in and say hi and do some gossip with somebody at somebody's wedding. Okay. That's not for an actress. You want something that's meaty that you can put your teeth into, and, you know, and really have to think about how you're going to play something and how it feels and what your choices are and all that other stuff. And they have written so beautifully for me. The last 7 or 8 years that I've come back to do just, you know, even 2 days of stuff has been meaty. I mean, it's all been meaty.
Yeah,
So.
I remember when you came back, and it was basically Marcy's introduction as Abigail. I liked like that storyline, and to find out that, you know, you and Andre Teo had, like, you know, basically helped Abigail and nursed her back to health and get her out of, you know, what she was going through. I love that. And it was, this last storyline was just a reminder of the close relationship that Laura and Abigail had together. And I thought that was played well as well. I wanted to ask you, because there were mixed feelings about it, but I know I enjoyed it. The flashback with Katie and Marcy and Emily. What were your thoughts on it, and seeing Katie play you
essentially
back in the day? What were your thoughts on the flashback?
I was really intrigued. I thought they did a really great job.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of weird. The sad thing, I wish I had been able to see them before the performances.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't understand from reading. Do you know what I mean? What was going on? And it was hard for me to imagine. Yeah. But I was able to watch a few of the shows. I haven't seen all of them, you know, but my husband recorded them for me. So I got a few, and I was able, of course, I watched those scenes because I wanted to see, and I went, oh, it would have been so nice if I'd gotten to see those before I had to act it.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a great job.
Me too. I thought it was not only fun to just kind of see this flashback of when Gwen's mom arrived and how you, Laura, like dealt with that back then. I thought it was great, and I was there for the fashion. I was there for the hair and like all of it. Like I was like, this was a nice like teleport, but it was also what I also have often enjoyed with Days is the little nods back to situations that happened in the past. So it was kind of like after Laura and Jack had got together and how this was connected with it, and so I thought all of that was so great.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
I thought that really was great too. The setup that they did.
Yeah.
You know, to say, oh, it was back 25 years ago when after, and Jack and I had just gotten out of, you know, and then we came to your mother was a saint. And that, I thought that was I thought that was an amazing way to tie it all in. And you know, so often, and it was, I think, in the old days, because, you know, like when I first started on Young and Restless all those years ago, you know, we only had one tape machine for all of CBS, Television City. So the Tony Orlando show was on, Price is Right, Sonny and Cher, the Dinah show, right? All these different shows, we all had to have a specific length of time. So we had to get our stuff. It was done like live tape in the can. And so what happened, because you didn't have VCRs and stuff like that, and you're talking about a tape that is 4 inches wide, and to just get a roll for yourself, it's like, it's like, you can't even see how big. Okay, it was a huge case. And you could never play it on anything, but you had some of your work. But anyway, I think because of that, they couldn't remember. Some of the newer writers wouldn't know what the actual history was, right? And fans, of course, know all that. They don't forget a thing, right? But unless the writers are talking to the fans, so it was really cool now that we have this technology where they can just look back and they have the old shows on tape. If they don't want to read them, they can actually look at them. And I don't know how long they keep the Bibles and where they've got them stored. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh,
So-
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So now at least with the technology, it's easier for writers, even new writers, to be able to think about how to tie things in. And I agree with you. I thought it was brilliant the way they tied that in.
Yeah.
So good.
And can I tell you, Jamie, I love how they treat Laura as this fully formed woman. Like you said, the past several years, how they've treated her just as they've run the gamut from like going through her history to her role as a psychiatrist to her role as a mother and a grandmother. Like the scene with you and Matthew where he's just screaming at you and letting you have it. Like you're not the doting old grandmother. You are a fully formed woman who has this incredible history with all of these characters.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And of course I was thinking the whole time he's yelling at me, how could you have even thought? I mean, I didn't know if you had even actually A, met her, but B, slept with her. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We were speaking of fans who remember certain things, and I've said this on the show a few times. My favorite Laura moment has always been, and I for some reason still can't remember the funeral. I think it might have been Kristen's funeral, but when Laura showed up in the red dress,
it was Kristen's funeral.
Yeah, Kristen's funeral back in the day.
That for some reason has been my all-time favorite Laura moment, because it was like literally arriving to the funeral and being like, I don't care, I didn't like her, I'm not in mourning, I'm in celebration.
It wasn't just that
red hat. Didn't
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Laura was elated. That was like
scene. I don't remember whose funeral, but I remember loving the red dress and the hat.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, so much of the time I had to play nuts or so weak and such a mess and so fearful. And then when she got, you know, I mean, she started coming back when they weren't drugging her all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Getting her chutzpah back. That's what I loved about that red dress and red hat. I'm so happy that you remember that.
Oh, yes.
I haven't thought of it in years.
Oh, I like anytime Laura comes back on the canvas, I am like, y'all remember that time she showed up to the funeral with the red dress on and did not care? She was like, I am celebrating. I am not mourning. I am in this red dress.
And it looks good.
It did. It looked great. It looked amazing on you.
Really good. Yeah. With the hat. I think I still have the hat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite moments or storylines that you, because as you said, you like the meat of a storyline. Was there ever one that you were like, oh man, this is so good? And
I can really tell you.
Or a few.
I can tell you some of the. I mean, I loved working with Louise Sorel.
Yeah.
Because I love comedy. I mean, I used to do it a lot with John McCook, right? But I loved our scenes with her. But then when we did the movie, the nighttime movie to introduce me coming out of the nut house.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We had to work with fire.
Oh.
I mean, real fire.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to act, okay? Breaking and burning all around us. And we'd finish the scene, they'd yell cut, and we'd just be huddled together, holding each other, trying to be okay. And the head fireman would come in and put his arms around us and go, okay, we're okay. It's all getting shut down. Any second now, everything's good. But one of the things actually broke one of the strings of one of the logs and bounced close to us. So, I mean, you know, the good news is everything was good. Everything was fine. That was my longest day I've ever worked, that we shot 23 and a half straight hours.
Oh my God.
Wow.
To do that movie of the week. And then we had to sleep in our dressing rooms. We got about 2 to 3 hours of sleep. They handed us our script as we're getting made up at 6 a.m, and we went on to finish.
Oh my gosh.
So we were shooting on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
You know, it went farther than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was memorable for different reasons. I
Oh, of
think
course.
some of the fun stuff, even because when you look at it, it's not just the scenes, it's sort of what provokes the public from the scenes and what kind of interactions or reactions you get as you move around in public with certain scenes. So some of the ones, the stuff with Jack, okay, when we had our affair.
Yeah.
Meadows.
Oh my gosh. I'm taking my son to college, and I took him after I got him settled in his room at the dorm and everything. Then I took him out to lunch. Well, there were a bunch of kids, college kids in there who had seen my scenes with Mark Valley, right?
Yeah.
And they like freaked out, and my son was getting really ticked off, okay? Especially because these young men were flirting, right? And he's like going, "What's this about, Mom? What's going on?" So I had to explain, oh, well, there's this scene I'm doing, you know, where I'm having an affair with my son-in-law, and I don't know, these young men have an active imagination or something. Anyway, so, and then there was the same thing happened when I was in Cancun one year on a bus. And these people, Cancun played different shows, right? There, anyway. And so they were reacting too, which got my kids all riled up. You know, they came and sat all around me to protect me from these serious fans, okay? Who were, you know, making comments to different scenes and shows, which of course my children didn't watch the show, so they had absolutely no idea what was going on. So those were really fun. Those were really fun things. I had some great scenes with Missy too. In None. And I love the scenes with Marcy.
Really.
And
you know, because even the scenes that were kind of, you know, played off camera, where you understand what's been happening, what I've been doing with her, blah blah blah. It's interesting because that builds you as a character, even though you didn't play anything, that you have that knowledge from other scenes and from explaining in certain scenes what was going on. It builds the relationship with the characters. Kind of subliminally.
And even the scene of the reveal of Susan, who was playing Kristen, back. That's when I was really watching Days.
Oh, when the teeth came flying out,
and the shake of back and forth, and then the teeth flying all the way into Vivian's glass. Those that is also for me another like classic scene of just
was hilarious.
And the brilliant part of that entire week, and I remember my mom was on vacation, and my mom was one of those people when she's on vacation, she's checked out, no TV, no outside world, whatever. She would call me every day, and it's like she was watching Days. She's like, it aired at 1:00 where she was. It aired at 3 where I was. So she would call me and she would be like, Laura got to the mansion, Michael. It's great. You're gonna love it. And it was amazing. And looking back and watching like the old scenes on YouTube, I think Jamie had to spend, I don't know how long it took to film all that. It was a week on air in her bathrobe, doing all of this dramatic stuff. And I guess at one point I'm like, I guess she was probably comfortable. But, you know.
Fortunately, they do wash them in between, so you don't feel so bad. You know, do I smell okay still? You know, no, it was cool wearing my bathrobe for a week. It was comfy, except you had to make sure it was really closed. That was uncomfortable. But I'll tell you another sweet thing. I met one of the biggest fans of Days of Our Lives in Cancun.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just coming off the beach, And this woman, Carolyn Nadler, okay, she had been a fan, I guess, from the beginning of Days.
Oh, yes.
And, well, maybe not that long. She's only about a decade older than I am. Anyway, so what happened was her daughter recognized me on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So the three of them, her two daughters who watched the show with her, and Carolyn are there. And they said, oh, hello. My daughter's told me you were here. And she just introduced herself. She took us under wing. It was our first year in Cancun.
Oh.
She took us under wing, introduced us to her entire family, her children who had children and their spouses. And we're meeting my children. At that point, that was all there were, was the children. And we became fast friends for 27 years.
Wow.
We owned timeshares at the same time.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
her husband, who was an accountant in Canada, they were from Toronto. And they came to my daughter's wedding, and we went to their grandson's bar mitzvahs. And
Wow.
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We went and visited them in Toronto, and she was in love with Days. And so I would give her all the Days paraphernalia that I would get anyway.
Oh, sweet.
And unfortunately, she died a year and a half ago.
Sorry to
But
hear
I'm
that.
saying,
Yeah.
just she literally helped us so much learn about where to go for dinner and how to do this, and embraced us as part of her family. It was so precious.
Yeah.
And she was always talking about Days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she had actually been able to be one of the guests back when things were open. You know, when they used to let fans in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She had been about, I think that was not on a day I was there, or a year. I might not have even been on yet, but she had been there in the early years. But it was just such a weird thing that this fan ends up being one of our best family friends.
Yeah.
And that our children know her children, and our grandchildren know her grandchildren. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was
And the
just
show brings people
amazing.
together. Yeah.
It does. And I think a lot of fans often, because you're on their TVs 5 days a week, you know, they feel this connection to everyone. Well, hopefully they can separate Laura from Jamie, so you don't have different interactions, but they feel this closeness. So like I always love hearing stories about how, you know, you connect with a fan as a fan, but then there's a different connection just as like two people.
As two people, as two mothers, as two married women, as she was already a grandma, I wasn't yet. It was amazing watching each other's families go through whatever, and the children, and infertility in certain situations, and you know, and she was always giving me such wise counsel, just me, Jamie, that was so special and deep. And I'm very close with one of her daughters, who I still see, and of course her husband. And it's a super special, and none of that, all those hours of memories in Toronto, and they came to Los Angeles and in Cancun every year for 27 years, never would have happened if they hadn't come up and approached me. And said hi. And sometimes you just have these amazing, just perfect God connections with people.
Sometimes you never know like how your characters are going to come across, or even how your portrayal sometimes, because sometimes fans can get they can be a little rambunctious, or they can be standoffish depending on the character you play.
Could go completely opposite way.
I was shooting I'm trying to remember what show it was, but it was oh gosh, who was the guy on Airplane? Pilot.
Leslie
Nielsen.
Nielsen?
Okay, so I'm doing this show with Leslie Nielsen. It was a movie of the week. And we're shooting in this building in the lobby of this high rise in Century City, you know. And this woman apparently had just seen me on Young and Restless. And I'm sitting in a wingback chair, and she comes down and she starts yelling at me.
Ooh.
And she grabs my shoulders and arms and is screaming right in my face. Okay, she's leaning over me. Well, security comes, but Leslie comes, and he literally comes around from back of the chair, and he comes with his face around like this, and he puts his hand out, and he says, hello. You know, Leslie was always very suave, right? He says, hello, I'm Leslie Nielsen. And she let go of me and took his hand. And security then slipped me out of the chair and back to my dressing room. But I mean, this was an enraged. She was so pissed off at my character that she couldn't separate my character from me.
And sometimes you don't know if that's like, well, at least I'm doing my job really well, or
Exactly. I mean, it's when you're going down Sunset Boulevard in a convertible and somebody pulls up in the next car and goes, I just love to hate you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
doing a good job. They love me. All right.
There are no fans like soap fans. Everybody tries to make comparison, like Grey's Anatomy's been on for 17 seasons, and I'm like, there's no fans like soap fans.
No,
that's
not
true.
At all.
That's true.
Speaking of Young and the Restless, I saw.
You know why may I just comment on why I think it is? Because I've done every medium that there is. You know, theater, I've done comedy, I've done drama, I've done, you know, in theater, I've done film, nighttime, you know, movies of the week, starring guest roles, all the stuff. I think what it is that in daytime, you're allowed to let real emotions happen. Where when you do other shows, even as a guest, I remember I did Love Boat a couple of times. One of the times that I did it, I played somebody who was anorexic. It was back when I was really skinny, anyway, and young. But it's like, I did it, my performance, everybody on the set was silent, and then everyone started applauding. That show that fabulous, incredible performance went in the can, not on air. They made me do it again. So it kept with the kind of light feel of the Love Boat, even though it was a serious subject.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The thing with soaps is you don't have to go with the style of the show. You get to go with real emotion that a character would be feeling. It's like, I remember one of my producers used to say, what were you doing when in this particular scene? And I said, well, I was playing this, and this. And he said, well, the audience isn't going to figure that out. And I said, they will eventually, right? Because you're playing the same character for such a long time. Right? But eventually they'll understand the tiny nuances of glances or looks in your eyes or expression on your mouth or whatever, your body language. They'll start to understand the slightest nuances. And that's why I think soap audiences are so passionate, because we're passionate. We can have the good, the bad, and the ugly of whatever character we are, right? And most of the time, whatever role you're playing, you don't have that range.
Right.
You can't do that.
And I've always said that soap actors and actresses do not get their just due, because this is one of the hardest mediums to like get that one take, and you have to either have all of this emotion or you have to memorize all these lines, because the lines pertain to story. And if
Correct.
you mess it up, there goes the understanding of that storyline.
Because we don't have action.
Yeah, and you were speaking of like the nuances and the looks and stuff. I always mention to Marcy how I thought she did such an amazing job with her DID storyline where she had to play 3 different characters, and how just the slightest movement in her body let us know who she was.
Exactly.
And that takes so much talent to be able to just a slight adjustment brings on a whole new character for
Yes.
and you all just don't get the roses that you deserve for the work that you do and entertaining us as much.
What other show can put on 200 and some episodes a year, hour long, and just bring it day after day after day with one chance to do it right? You got to know your lines. You got to know how to present the character. You have to stay in character. And yeah, like it. And they.
So we're down to 200 shows.
Well, this past year. Oh wait, no, this past year, Days and Rhodes,
but normally we would have to. We were doing before COVID.
Yeah.
So I guess it's BC. Anyway. Anyway,
that'll be it.
There was you had literally to work in the beginning of my time with soaps, right? When it was live tape, you had 3 days, so there was no editing. So you had to get dressed on the set, literally right outside the door of the set where you would enter. You'd have like 2 or 3 wardrobe people right there behind the screen helping you make a change really fast because they let the tape run, right? So it was only one machine.
Yeah. One machine.
And they would lay the commercial on, whether it was a 90-minute commercial spot or a 2-minute. That's all the time you had to get from one set, one wardrobe into the next. You film actors can't do what we do.
Yeah, no.
So you were saying,
Nighttime actors can't do what we do. They can't memorize that much dialogue, and they can't let go of, because you have to let go so that you can learn another 50 pages.
Yeah.
And it depends on, because you're often memorizing more than one show, because we would shoot around 100 pages. One show is around 75 to 78 pages, right?
Yeah.
So you're putting extra from other shows in every single day. And sometimes you're working on Saturday and Sundays to catch up or to be where you got to be. So I don't know a film person that can do that, really.
Yeah.
So back, you were saying like, so when you were first on Young and the Restless and they had the tape, you were basically almost like performing a live play, and you had to do the quick changes and go back out. It was almost like a play without a big audience, and you had to like, you couldn't just stop and start and stop. No stopping.
So I remember once John Cook and I were like jumping on this bed together. So we jump on this king size bed. Well, it turned out it wasn't a king size bed. It was 2 twins that were put together to look like they were one bed, and the bed split, and we went right down into the hole between these 2 beds, holding our champagne glasses, spilling champagne all over ourselves, and laughing hysterically because we had no idea it was going to happen. And of course, they had no choice but to keep it, right? Because it was live tape.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you did get some fun. Like I remember in, I guess it was on YNR. I put a freeway in Genoa City, and there were only highways, and they kept saying on rehearsal, highway, highway, and I go highway, highway on tape, freeway, because I'm an elderly person, right?
Yeah.
So they had to let it go, right?
Yeah.
They can't stop the tape because they're going to lose the whole tape machine.
Right. Jamie, we have a few questions from fans who are watching us live. A lot of them want to hear about working with Missy Reeves. I know that this go around she wasn't there, but what were your experiences like and the connections that you guys had while working on the show?
You know, when you play a role for such a long time and your characters are related, she's my daughter and I'm her mom.
Yeah.
And we had that kind of relationship. And the other cool thing was when Missy was having her babies, my baby at that time was 7. So she'd go over to play with Missy's 3-year-old. So we were getting together.
Yeah.
So once she moved to Tennessee, that was not the case, but we are always, it's just like no time has gone by, like you have with your best friends, and you don't talk to them for a year, and all of a sudden you're saying hi, and you're still on the same page together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're coming from the same places. You don't have any big argument over anything, right?
Yeah.
Differences. That's the way it was with Missy. I was disappointed not to see her.
Yeah.
And she was always right on. She always had her lines memorized. I was never one to use cue cards. For me, they were a distraction because part of acting is reacting. And how can you react if you're looking at a cue card instead of the person who's speaking to you, right? You have to play off what they're giving you, or you don't have a real scene. So that's my answer.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that. Because you definitely have to have that connection, on screen. So to know that it carries just life in general is great, and it just shows in your interaction with each other.
And we have ways, like when you're doing a guest role thing and this person is supposed to be your husband. I think the biggest difficulty I had once, I did the show Lottery, and my father on Young and Restless for 9, 10, 11, 12 years, however Stewart was on, right? He played my husband.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I'm going, Dad, what? Oh, wow, this is kind of, gosh, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there was no real intimate scenes with him because I was having an affair with someone else who I was trying to talk into killing my husband, who had played my dad on The Young and the Restless. Anyway, so there was just little kisses, nothing to, thank God, because, because your body remembers everything you've ever done as someone else too. So it's kind of disconcerting.
Yeah. Life and soap. Yeah.
Life and soaps.
A lot of fans, we keep getting this question, are curious, are there any other actors from the show who may be on or not on that you still keep in touch with?
No, after so long, I kind of, and I'm just always so busy, I adopted 2 more children and and was raising them, and so I have 5 children and 3 are married, so that's 8 children, and I have 3 granddaughters. And life is full.
Yeah. It'll keep you busy.
Life is very full, and all my kids are here close by, and I'm still the one that puts on all the family events. Yeah, and you know how many there are in a year, right?
Yes.
And there's Mother's Day, and there's Father's Day, and there's Christmas, and there's Thanksgiving, and then there's all the birthdays. Can you imagine?
And then you even think you're off the hook on Halloween, and then the grandchildren come and they're like, nope.
And you got to see them. They're dressed up in these cutest little things. They're a pumpkin one year, and then now they're only princesses. Okay, I have 3 granddaughters. They're all princesses. So, you got to see them. It's true. You think you're off on Halloween. No.
fans also are wondering, and I mean, we do this on the show sometimes. Sometimes we like to pretend like we're in the writer's room and maybe, redo things or add things and add different characters.
I was writing.
If you, Jamie, were writing the scene for Laura, would you have had her, lack of a better word, die the way that she did, or is there an alternate ending that Jamie would have liked to have seen for Laura?
Oh, an alternate ending.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would have been all right with me if I had maybe fallen in love with a prince and decided to give up my career as a psychiatrist and had to go to some lovely country in Europe and live. And so I just wasn't in town very often after that, and they were all going to have to fix their own messes.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really good way.
They only have two options. It's either you or Marlena. Like, and if it's not you, then it's always Marlena.
Well, I pretty much knew when they never put me with a man to speak of. Do you know what I mean? When I never had a significant other, a husband or anything like that, I was not going to have as much that could be done with me, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of an indication to an actor, where your character's going, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was the storyline that involved Bill and Kate. I mean, even right before Laura's death, was still kind of resonated with her. And I actually liked that there was that scene between Kate and Laura. And I know during that time, I think Deborah Adair played Kate during that. But just for those two characters to have that moment, I thought was a nice, tilt of the hat to that and the situation that they had been through. How did that feel for you to, again, a little touch of a nod to history to have that interaction?
The scenes with Lauren?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. And I liked also coming into those scenes, having come from all the stuff with Matthew screaming at me. I mean, because there was a part of me that wanted to just interrupt him, but he was just so full of himself at the time, And I didn't have any lines, so I had to be quiet. But it was that's why I got kind of pissed at him and said, really? It's like, I am a psychiatrist. I know this better than you do. How dare you speak to me like that? Was what I wanted to say, but they didn't give me the option. Anyway, so I loved having all of that to come into the scenes with Kate, and instead of just doing our normal bitchy scenes, that I could actually stop, having absorbed and having processed, all the other scenes, to say calmly instead of bitchy, no, we're not alike, and I'm different, and I know that I will take responsibility for my mistakes. And I thought that was a really neat moment that they gave Laura. Instead of just the
strong moment,
the usual, like, pull out your sword and start stabbing each other. That I had a way of stepping out. And of course, I was so depressed when she caught me at that point, and didn't, I had so much on my mind. It was really an interruption. But I was happy that I had played everything that I had played to get to that moment to work with her. I was really pleased that they gave me the depth to go with the lines. Because you don't know. I mean, oftentimes you come in, you see and you can make suggestions. They're lovely. The producers are really good about, if you go, can I say can I add this to my speech? Because I need a handle, right, on what I'm feeling, or to make a point that I feel that my character needs to make. Yeah. They're very good about letting you, do that in most cases. Yeah. They might, maybe that's why I died. I don't know.
No, that was
that's why I had to be killed off. No, I don't know.
that was the biggest shocker, I think, to not only us but also fans. We were like, no, not Laura. You can't kill Laura. Like, just have her, take care of things, hear everyone out, and then go, well,
go back to her prince,
and I'm gonna go away now.
I have to say,
maybe
watching,
I really didn't die, and I came back to life in the morgue or something. I mean, that's happened before,
that's
right?
happened.
That's happened before.
That
happened a few years ago.
We just don't know anything about this.
It's
anything
funny you
in
said
Salem
that.
is possible.
It's funny you said that, because I was watching the show and I didn't think you were dead until we got to the funeral, and I was like, oh, wait, they really killed her? Like, I thought we were going to get a morgue scene or someone injecting you with the serum or something, which I'm still holding out hope. I don't think we've seen the last of Laura. Yeah.
Jamie,
so is that what they did? They actually had my funeral?
Partly.
I hope my daughter was sobbing. Okay.
Yes.
It was.
She was really kind of mean. I think that she's worried about me falling apart, and she leaves me and goes upstairs and lets her husband like verbally abuse me, right?
And she addresses that in those scenes, actually.
She does?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, and your granddaughter is, you'll be happy to know your granddaughter is going to go on a very, very long revenge journey on your behalf.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Your death will be avenged. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laura's death is not in vain.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, now where's Matthew? Where's Matt going to be on this issue?
Ooh, I know, right? Because it's straddling the fence. I mean, that's his daughter,
and
mother-in-law,
that's his daughter, and he came to the hotel and he supported her.
Well, you know what?
If my dead body, and he didn't seem like he was too sad over it. Does he not remember our few nights together?
Well, you know what? That's why you come back and haunt him. Because if he doesn't do right, then Laura comes back and say, "Listen, what's wrong with you?"
I know we have to forget it all for the sake of your marriage with my daughter, who I love, and I'll give her anything and lay down my life for her. But really, I'm dead now, and you don't even remember the great intimate times we had together before we knew we were related. Come on.
Oh my God.
We'll always have the meadows.
Yeah,
The meadows.
The meadows.
I could be there, at the meadows right now.
I would have been past days. Yeah.
Jamie, before we let you go, because we will keep you in this virtual world and just talk about everything. One thing I wanted to know was, I saw in an interview that you did that the reason why you took the job at Young and the Restless was because you wanted to learn how to act.
Correct.
From that time up until now, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned about acting that you hold on to for each role that you tackle?
I'll give you something very personal, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm not really good with the other part of the industry. Mm-hmm. I'm me, and I'm quite forthright. I really bring all my characters and put them before the Lord, because I feel he died for everyone, and he created everyone, and he knows everyone. And that if I need to know how a person would react in a particular situation, because whoever the character is, I figure he knows somebody like that who's already been alive or is still in heaven or something, and that he can kind of tie me in. And that I learned pretty much really from the beginning was, and I think that's one of the reasons also, the other thing is I'm a people person. I love people. I love people, and I love all different types of people. In fact, you can't put all my friends in the same room because they won't like each other. I kid you not.
That's a good quote.
Because I really like different types of people, and I think I learned so much from them about life. I had a really heavy duty, hideous, horrible childhood, and obviously a lot of my ability to reach pain comes from my past. It's also taught me to understand people, because the one way that we can relate to one another is emotionally over anything else. So even though you've never skydived or you've never, done something else that somebody else is talking about or is doing or has done, you can always, if you talk to them long enough and ask them the right questions, you can understand them by identifying what emotions they're experiencing. We all identify through our emotions, not just the things we've experienced. We can catalog it and we can say it intellectually and we can write it, but if you write it or say it intellectually without the emotion, it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's the emotion that binds us. And so I would say that was not anything I expected to learn when I started acting. And it's really been a big aid to me, I think. And I've had fun. I love developing a new character. I love playing other characters.
Yeah.
It just connects me to more of humanity, I think.
And I think it definitely shows in your work, what you do, and that and the fact that you have so much heart with each character and really showing them in these moments and being true to them, I think is amazing. And I really appreciate you sharing that you take these characters to the Lord and and you portray to the best of your ability, which is really good. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Hey, this is fun.
This
I
was
didn't
so
even know
This is
about
fun.
it before
Yes.
this.
Yeah, no, we are so grateful and thankful to have you on, and we talked about it. We was like, first of all, there's no way they can kill Laura and we not be able to talk to Jamie about it. Like that's there's no way. So we really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat with us. And I do have to mention also my mother. Who is a new Days of Our Lives fan. She likes to text me during the show. She doesn't like to join the chat room, so she texts me her thoughts. But she said to let you know that her hat goes off to you and that you did a great job.
Thanks, Mom.
Yes. She would have, if I did not read that to you, the next text would have been call me, which I know that I would have been in trouble not letting you know. So,
that's so awesome. That's so great. That's so great she does it. Keep doing it.
Yes. So thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yes, so for all of your work, all the journey that you have given us with the character of Laura, and just thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us. We really
thank you for all the insight. This was very good.
Very
this was a
revealing.
very enjoyable conversation.
Thank you. Me too. God bless each of you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Jamie.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jamie.
See you.
Bye.
Oh, yay, you guys.
Wow.
That was great, right?
That was really great.
Man.
I could listen to her for days.
No, she's really open with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, well, like when Tony first suggested that we might be able to get her, I told him like my jaw would hit the floor if we could, and I'm just like, I'm coming off this like, wow.
Yeah.
What a lady.
Yeah.
Also, I think that was the smoothest outro we've ever had on Zoom for this show so far. She knew exactly what to click, and she was gone. There was
someone not versed in technology.
Like,
yeah,
even some of the younger folks are like, "What do I hit?" Or
bumbling.
What?
Yeah.
That's still me. I'm like, which button is it? Okay. Well, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our show. I thoroughly hope that you enjoyed our chat with Jaime Lyn Bauer. We definitely appreciate her coming in and taking the time to talk to us, and also all that she's done as Laura Horton. And we just hope that it's not the end of Laura, but like, oh my gosh, we still can't believe they killed off Laura Horton. But look at you, Michael Mattis. Before we head out though, Michael Mattis, tell the kind folks where they can find you.
You can find me, mbimbi, hi Bimbi, on Instagram and Twitter at MLMattis.
Justin.
You can find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
Araceli.
You can find me on Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And you can find all of us on Instagram, Dishin Days, Facebook, Dishin Days Show, and Twitter _Dishin Days. And you can find little old chocolate me at Lounging with Tony on all social media platforms. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Another special thanks to Jaime Lyn Bauer.
Yes.
And hey, we'll see you here next Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another full dish of next week's episodes of Days of Our Lives. Until then, stay safe, be well, and we'll see you next Sunday. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye, baby.
Bye, baby. Good boo.